welcome back to another episode of Authentic Amigas. My name is Valerie.
And I'm Florencia. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Authentic Amigas podcast. It has been a minute, but we're here and we are so happy to be talking with each other and with you today. And thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm. So, if you haven't yet followed us on our social medias, go ahead and do that right now. We are on Instagram at Authentic Amigas. We are on Twitter at Authentic Amigas. And where else can they find us, best friend?
SoundCloud, Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
Apple Podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and YouTube.
Yep.
Those are all the platforms that we are on your favorite streaming platform. Find us there, Authentic Amigas everywhere. Thank you.
Ooh, she's actually rapping for this episode.
I put my headphones on and I'm all of a sudden I'm in a different mood.
I'm
Yeah, it's
dead.
been a couple weeks. So if you can't tell by our slightly, I don't know if it'll sound different right now, but we are trying something new out today. Something which I think is going to be a super amazing skill practice for us to have here
Mm.
at Authentic Amigas. And we are recording virtually. I'm at my house. Val is at her house right now,
Yeah.
and we're apart, but we're recording this episode together. And if all goes well, hopefully in the future, we're going to be able to bring you guys a visual component a little bit more easily where you can see us talking to each other a little bit more because we'll be able to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's always been a goal since the beginning, actually, is to
Yes.
bring in visual to you guys, but we still haven't nailed down the audio, and we figured, like, let's nail one thing down
Yes. Let's
first.
master it.
Yes, before we head heels over another one. But this is episode 8, best friend. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy that we're still here.
This is episode 8, and today we're going to be talking about a couple things, actually, not just one thing in particular, one main
Yeah.
thing, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that. We're going to talk about love, but first we're going to catch up with one another. I'm like, first we're going to talk about our love.
As in me and you, best friend.
Mhm, mhm, as in us. But how are you, best friend?
Oh my
How's
gosh.
everything been going? We haven't caught up, so this is a
No,
good
we
time to catch
haven't.
up.
Holy shit. I feel like uh like the when you've been so I told you this the other day, like when you've been so busy that like you feel like you don't even know where to begin. I feel like that's been my life, probably yours as well, these last couple of weeks that we haven't had new episodes up yet for the podcast. A lot has been going on in our world, like in our shared world, um, with elections, with 4 days of like stress about the elections. I mean, every day leading up to it, but 4 days of like being in the thick of it. In my personal life, like work has been super crazy as well. Today was a very busy day. I feel like it's been 2 days long put together into one day. But
Mm.
overall, I mean, I can't complain. Um, all good things. Try to keep it positive when I can. But I've been good.
Mm.
Yeah, that's basically my life. Same old.
Yeah, no, it's been draining. I don't know why I feel like these last 2 weeks have been so draining.
Yeah.
The election, that was a big one. That was
Mhm.
a huge one. And some people say it's still going on right now. So so it's still a little bit draining. There was at one point where I called you and I was like, I called you actually twice breaking down, I think. One of them,
Aw.
like full tears. I called best friend full on tears. Um, why did I break down again? What was it?
Oh my gosh. It's just a lot. I think it's just because it's a lot to handle because COVID has been going on forever.
That's what
And
it
then
was.
we compound COVID stress with election stress.
Mhm.
And to both each of those individually is enough to take us out.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
that's really what it was. That was, it was a combination, you're right. And then the whole election thing happened, and like maybe the night, no, it was the night of election night on Tuesday. I called you and I was like, best friend, I have to prep myself for the worst because I don't know where this is going. And at that point I had kind of lost hope. um, because of how things were looking, I guess, in the moment. And I was just so overwhelmed. Um, I felt so defeated. And maybe not so much like Biden was defeated, but I felt so defeated. So I kind
Yeah.
of projected that into the whole election as well. Like, poop. But
Yeah.
whoo, it's been a journey. Um, you've been working crazy.
Yeah, you've been working crazy. We've both been working very crazy. Um,
Ugh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, same as always, a lot going on everywhere, but
Yeah, but you work at a school, right? Like she works at a school and she does a lot, by the way. In my mind, she's a whole principal because she really does.
oh my
Sh
God, lower your voice for my coworkers listening. I'm just
I'm like,
playing.
hi, friend. I'm like, hi, coworkers.
I'm just
Um,
playing. I love them. If they're listening, I love them.
I'm like, if you're listening, who can give her a raise? Because like connect me with them.
I'm
Um,
dead.
yeah, so you work a lot, especially right now that is holiday season, and the semester is cut short, right? It's a shorter semester, if I'm not mistaken.
Kind of. I mean, things are a little bit different. Um, like with distance learning, it's just nothing looks the same as like years past. Like there's no instruction manual like for how things are going right now. It's just day by day.
Yeah,
And a lot going on with like tech stuff and blah blah blah. But it's okay. Like we're managing it. But yeah, it's definitely a busy time.
I can only imagine. I'm like, it literally took me like an hour to figure out Zoom, so I can't
I'm dead. No,
even.
but we're gonna master it. Just like we master everything else we practice, all right?
Mm, word, word. Okay, well, that's how we've been doing. That's a little summary. I'm sure we can go in, do the whole podcast on what's been going on,
Yeah.
but we're here. We made it. We made it to episode 8. I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, me too. Before we move on, you have big things coming for Butterfly Fingers. How do you feel about that? How's
Uh,
that going?
I
I know
feel
you shared little sneaky peekies here and there with your close friends and with your Butterfly Fingers audience, like as a whole. How are you
yeah.
feeling? Feeling ready for that? Not
Um
yet, or
You know what? I feel really nervous. I feel like I have a deadline for myself. I create deadlines for myself because, if I don't, who will?
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the deadline, and I don't have what I need to have ready, but it's not on my time, literally, because I'm not the one actually produced. Like I'm not printing everything in home, in house.
Mhm.
I have partners outside who are
Right.
helping me out with that. So now it's just on it's on their time, and I have to respect their craft as well. And I can't be too pushy, and I have to just keep reminding myself that time does its own thing and I cannot take control of her because it's never worked out in my favor when I try and control time. So
Right.
just letting everything flow naturally. But my heart is racing right now, just like thinking about it. It's like,
Mm.
oh, it's getting crazy, but we're prepping for the holiday season right now. So it'll be a good time. We're gonna have like holiday gift boxes and we're gonna prep. Well, our holiday collection is launching on Sunday. Uh
Set your
yes.
alarms, people.
Yeah, when this podcast I have two, I'm like, the podcast and the collection on Sunday.
Oh,
You know
best
what? We're
friend.
gonna make it happen. It's fine. But yeah, so exciting stuff. But thank you so much for the shout out, best friend. I appreciate you. And if you're not following best friend on Instagram and Twitter, ooh, she gets crazy on Twitter sometimes.
Please don't follow me on Twitter.
I'm like Florencia at Florencia Galvan.
Oh, hell no. Don't tell the people where to find me. Oh my God.
No, we both get a little wild on there. That's
It's my favorite app.
it is. It's a good app to have. But yeah, go follow Florencia Galvan on social medias. If you haven't yet, follow Valerie Pamela. That's me right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Authentic Amigas. So
Can't
little
forget about
plugs.
her. That's why we're here.
Little plugins. So are you ready to talk about this next subject?
Yes. So I told you before we started our episode today, I just have to tell the people as well. This I'm pretty sure your Venus is in Capricorn, Val, like in your chart. I mean, sorry, not Capricorn, Cancer.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure
Uh-huh.
your Venus is a Cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a water sign. Uh, you love love. All right, I'll start off the topic of the day
By
by
dragging
just
me.
no, it's not a drag. It's one of your best qualities. It's a great
Aw.
quality, okay? It's not a drag. I say things in a funny way because I have to make fun of things or else like I can't get through life. but but it's one of your best qualities that you stay true to in yourself. But Valerie Rodriguez loves love, all right? And today's topic, we're going to be talking about love. I told Val, I don't her Venus is in Cancer and in my Venus is in Virgo, if that means anything to anybody listening. Um two like different signs. Uh yeah, I'm following your lead on this one, best friend.
Uh, well, okay. Well, she's right about that. I do love the idea of being in love. I love the concept of love. I love more than anything. I just love love in general, with not just relationships, but with amongst people and friends and myself. And I don't know, love is just great. But today specifically, we're gonna talk about being in love,
Like
because
romantically.
romantically, because being in love is completely different than like loving somebody, right? Like they're different things.
Mhm.
Like I love you, I'm not in love with you.
Mhm.
So we're specifically talking about being in love. And I don't think you and I have ever talked about this ourselves, like alone. Have
No,
we?
I don't think I talk about this with anyone.
Well, I'm excited. So we're gonna ask best friend some questions. Are you ready,
Ah,
best friend?
ask me some questions. We're gonna ask each other some questions.
Okay, bye,
Go
bye,
ahead in.
bye. So, how many times would you say you've been in love?
um, so I feel like that's a hard question,
Mhm,
uh, because well, maybe for some people it's an easy question. For me, I think it's kind of a hard question because I feel like first of all, I'm young.
mhm, mhm,
I have not haven't experienced like everything that like the fullness of like life's experiences I have not gone through yet.
mhm,
Answering from my 23-year-old point of view,
mhm.
I'm gonna say one time. Um, and that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like I appreciate your like your distinction between like love and being in love, but like
Mm,
being in love, like I'm gonna say one time.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I've been in love twice. I'm like, no one asked, but
Ooh.
I asked.
No, no, no.
I've
I love
definitely,
that.
yeah, I've been in love twice. I can say that with my chest that I've been in love twice.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, next question. We're just gonna do some questions
Rapid questions?
just to set the mood, just to set the
Okay, just
mood,
get the juices flowing. I
just to
see
get the
you.
juices, because this isn't an easy just topic to talk about, I
Mhm.
feel, especially for like I don't know, we're two Leos, and although yes, I have some Cancer sprinkles in me. I tend to not like talk about being in love because I think like my guard is up really, really.
Yeah, it requires a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah, like I'm literally shaking right now as I speak because I don't necessarily like
I'm
talk about
wiping my
this.
forehead. I'm sweating.
Well, so next question. What how do you know that, like, how do you know that you're in love with, or how did you know you were in love with the person that you just said that you've been in love with or are in love with? Like, how do you know you're in love? Basically, how do you know when you're in love with somebody?
Hmm. I feel like I'm really the wrong person to ask. Uh,
I'm like
I'm like
me. I'm like I get butterflies, and then I'm like, there's rainbows on their. No.
um, hmm. Oh, you answer first. I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
Okay, okay. So how do you know when you're in love? And this is also a question for you guys listening. How do you know when you're in love with somebody? I think that for me, I knew I was in love with them when I could start picturing them as a father figure, because something for me that's huge is like I want to be a mom one day. And so I mean, every single time, honestly, I date somebody, I'm like, would they be a good dad? Right. And that's my first
Mhm.
question I really ask. But beyond that, like, I know I'm truly in love with that person when I see them, like, actually being a father to my children. Like, they're like an actual father. Um, so that's the main one, I think, for me. Like, that's when I knew, like, I'm genuinely in love with this person because I can see him that way, and that for me that's like the ultimate thing. Like very, very hard to reach almost. And then, there's your best friend. You just want to be with them all the time and you never get tired of each other. And then some people would disagree, like, no, you do get tired of one another. But I don't, I never got tired of those people ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever, ever. Um, so, and this is just personal, right? This is just my opinion because everyone will have a different answer. But it's just somebody that will make you smile when you can't make yourself smile. And you just want to be with as much as you can. Like, you just want to spend time with them as much as you can, I think, right?
Yeah. So I think that I agree with your like pointing out like envisioning a future with somebody. I think that that's like a really important part of like any solid like lasting adult relationship, like romantic
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah,
So I agree with that one. If I had to pinpoint one thing for me, um I um I don't know if you remember. I don't think it was like maybe more than a year ago when Nipsey Hussle passed away, and
yeah,
they like broadcast his like funeral, and like everybody speaking and whatever. And like Lauren London read this thing, and she was saying like it was like a poem that she had written for him, or like something that she had written
yeah,
about him. And she said something about like uh when we're at odds, like it hurts me like when we like aren't getting along.
yeah,
Um, I feel like that's kind of um a good way to describe like what how I feel about this.
yeah,
Because I don't want to say I'm like a stubborn person, but there's not a lot of people that like it really gets to me. Like I'm pretty quick to just be like, meh, like
mhm,
whatever. I don't care like if I don't get along with this person, or like this
yeah,
person's opinion, like I couldn't give two shits about. Like
yeah,
I feel like I don't let a lot of people get under my skin.
yeah,
But I feel like there have been times where like being at odds with this person, right? Which I don't have to be vague. Like I've the whole world knows like I'm in a relationship, right? So I don't have to be
yeah,
vague. But
yeah,
being at odds with this person, like it's like a like literally like like I'm like physically like not good, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Um that's my answer. That's my long
Okay.
answer.
Okay. And let's just maybe we can backtrack. I should have done this. We should have done this at the beginning, but just sharing our current statuses. So I am currently super single.
Not
So
just single.
not just single, she is super single. So if you hear anyone claiming me, it's false. It's fake news.
Mm,
So yes, I'm currently single. A best friend, what's your status? You just said it right now, but
yeah.
for the
So
ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'm in a relationship, obviously.
Hmm.
Like I said earlier, I should add because I feel like it does make a difference, like committed relationship. Like, uh, I've known this person for like half my life, and we haven't been dating that long, but I've known this person for a very long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't need to be vague. Like, I'm okay with sharing a little bit. I don't like sharing like too much. Like I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
But I think everybody who listens to our podcast is a friend, and I'm okay sharing with my friends. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to let people into our our personal like romantic relationships, I feel.
Yeah.
Um I think that for me, like it has like the reason why it's so hard for me to speak about love and speak on romantic relationships is because I didn't grow up hearing about these conversations. I didn't hear like my aunts and uncles, my tios, cousins talk about like being in love with their significant other and like
Right.
showing affection, either like physical or whatever, no affection really. Um,
Yeah. Agree.
yeah. So for me, even like even till today, when I see something, I'm like, oh, like don't look, close your eyes. Like when a scene is like way too overly romantic, like something in my like in me, I'm just like, oh, like not in a bad way, right? But I'm just like a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be because I think love is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel you on the not having witnessed it too much growing up. Um, like anywhere, like I can't think of a lot of couples that I saw growing up. Like maybe one, like in real life. Like I'm talking not movies, not
Yeah.
cartoons. Like in real life, I can think of like one or two couples that I saw as a kid that I was like, oh, like they like each other, you know,
Hmm.
like they're like romantic and like how couples are like on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Not, you know, not the same, but like kind of along the same like idea. Um, so I totally feel you on that. And there was something else I was gonna add. I feel you on that, and I just blanked. So
No, no worries. Well, I was going to ask you. Well, you said that you're in love with one person and you're still with that person right now, which by the way, guys, I love her, that person. I'm like, I don't know if we can say his name, but I really have so
you
much
can
love
say
for
his
that
name. It's
person.
fine. I'm like, if he's even fucking listening, he is. And if he's
No,
not, then he'll never know.
I'm dead. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I love Matthew. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
I'm
dead.
just kidding, you guys. I'm
Wait,
just
oh
kidding.
my God, I'm dead.
I'm just kidding. I
You
love
say the wrong
George.
name. I'm like, hey,
You're like,
cut that.
I'm like, Javier. I'm like, no, no, no. I love George. I think he's so great. I think he's a great friend. He's great to your family. He's great to you. So I have so much respect for your guys' relationship. Sorry, my voice. But back to my question. You said
Mhm.
you've been in love with him and stuff like that. So how do you continue like the whole being in love? Because you guys have been together for what, 5, 6 years? 6,
Yeah, 6 years. So actually, wow. Oh, wait, 6.5 years.
6.5 years. Okay,
Hmm.
so how do you keep the spark alive?
That's a great question.
What do you guys what do you guys do? Because I see that you guys like do cute picnics and stuff. And like, is that something?
Um,
I'm like, I see y'all eat together.
that's about all we do.
No.
Um, you know, I feel like first and foremost, like I feel like George and I are very good friends. First and foremost, like we have a very and this is not, you know, this is gonna work for some people and it's not gonna work for other people. Like I'm just talking about my own experience. I think George and I make very, very, very good friends before anything else. And so I feel like we have a super like easygoing relationship where like when we're together, like for the most part, it's not too serious. Like obviously, like every other couple, like we have our serious moments and we have like our like hard like we have hard talks sometimes, and you know, we go through things like every other couple on this planet.
Right.
But I feel like for the most part, like we just keep things like really easy going and like nothing's ever too serious. And I think that um we both at the end of the day know like what we want and like how we feel about each other. And so I feel like even when things get hard, like thinking about like not being with one another is like not on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I don't have like a lot of doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so I feel like there's like a lot of security that comes with that, but it's definitely not been easy.
Yeah.
Um So yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question. Like just like day to day, like we try to do new things together. We send each other like restaurants. Like if we see like like a restaurant on Instagram. Like earlier today, I saw this pho place that I really wanted to go to. So like we send each other like new things, and we try to pick up like new hobbies together. Like he taught me how to play chess over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just things like that. Also, we spend a lot of time with my family. So I
Yeah.
have I have three sisters, so it's a lot of fun, you know. He shares interests with my sisters too, so
Yeah.
we all just
Yeah.
hang out together, you know.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I do want to add, and I don't know if you feel like this, best friend, like, but I know that when I was um in the relationships with those two people that I mentioned, I wasn't like we weren't like super lovey-dovey 24/7. Like you
Yeah.
said, there are like when we talk about, or when I talk about at least, like the concept of being in love, that doesn't mean that you have to like be like happy all the time and put up this facade of like we don't argue, our relationship is perfect, because that's not true for anybody. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
No relationship is perfect, and if you think it is, maybe you need to like you need to check something there because something's off. So when we talk about being in love, like I think it's important to understand that it's a beautiful thing, but it does come with a lot as well. It comes
Yeah.
with like it's a journey. It's a whole journey. I think everything that's long term in life is a journey because
Yeah.
you always evolve and grow.
Right. And I think that you'll probably feel the same way as me on this. Like, I think that like especially in the last year, like my relationship has been like the biggest source of me learning about myself, which is a weird thing because like it's about you and this other person, but um so much of like what we share and the things that we go through and
Mhm,
like ways that I feel sometimes
mhm.
like I'll be honest, like sometimes like things that like the other person does and I'm like, oh, that like that rubbed me the wrong way, or like I felt a certain type of way about like the way that like he did this, or like
Yeah,
the way that he didn't do this or whatever,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I think that more than anything this year has for me been about um first of all like like asking myself like what does that tell me about me,
Mhm, mhm.
um and then having that conversation together. And so
Yeah,
I think that, like I said, in general, but especially for me, this year has been all about my own growth and also the other person's growth, which we do individually. Like
yeah,
we focus on
yeah.
ourselves individually, but
Mm.
as a relationship, if we force each other to grow.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's so important to note because I think oftentimes people, I see this on Twitter a lot where people say like, in order to like grow personally, like you
You got to
can't
work on
be in,
yourself first.
yeah, you have to first like distance yourself or like just completely
Be in
exit yourself.
isolation.
Yeah, and then just work on yourself and then go out and find somebody. And I totally disagree with that. Although like it depends, right, on your situation because I feel like right now I'm in a situation where I can't be in a relationship because I
Yeah.
just don't have the time, but it's not necessarily because I'm like I need to focus on my growth like because in a way that just sounds like I'm undeserving of love, and I'm not. At no point
No.
in my life is anyone undeserving of their love of their love of my like of love. Period. Like no one's undeserving of love at any point in their life. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
so I like was thinking right now when you said how you guys grow together and separately. I feel that because I think I've told you this before that a lot of the reasons of why I am who I am today um, is because of the people that I dated. Like they hella inspired me in different ways. Like I dated a guy who was hella into politics, who loved music, and because oh, also Disney. That's why I'm a huge Disney fan too, honestly, is because he was obsessed with Disney and you like get to just, you
Share
know,
those parts of your personality.
exactly. So did I steal somebody's personality? No. No, but you get inspired and you learn from others while you're in this journey and
Right. And at the end of the day, like it's like a friendship, like with your friends, because you love them, like you accompany them in their hobbies and
yeah,
you hold their hand through those things, and it's just the same thing. Like
exactly.
it's the same thing when you're in a relationship, like
Exactly.
you share your interests because you care about the person, and eventually like you might pick up things that you're interested in too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even like when I was with one of the guys that I dated that I've been talking about, you know this. I've told you this. I f- through him is like how I found me in a way because
Right.
like in order for me to like truly like be with somebody, I have to look up to them in some way. They have to inspire me in some way. I don't know why. It's just for me, that's how it is. And so with one of the guys that I was dating, I was just so inspired by him in the way that he was with life, in the way that he didn't care about what anyone thought. And so, right, like you fall in love and you think like, oh, in order for me to just grow personally I have to just let go of this. And that's not true at all. You can grow together and grow for yourself as well at the same time, I think. So I like that
Yeah.
you said that.
Yeah, because you're definitely right. Like you're not undeserving of love at any state that you're in. I would even say like that there is a lot to be gained from having a person who supports you
Hmm.
um properly
Hmm.
and who cares for you throughout like your growth, like somebody who can like help you be honest with yourself and support you in that, you know?
Yeah.
Um so yeah, like I said, like this year more than anything has been about like my relationship teaching me about me.
Yeah.
And having luckily for me having like a partner who like supports me through that and is uh on the same wavelength as
Yeah.
me.
Okay, so I love being in love. I love that you're in love. Let's get to something juicy.
I'm
Okay.
dead. You really have them up your sleeve today.
Let's can we just real quick. And if you're listening, we all know people like this.
Okay.
Everyone knows somebody, whether it was from high school, middle school, now, today, who's done this. Can we talk about the girls that completely and some boys, but I see it mostly in girls that
Oh my gosh.
completely isolate themselves and just leave
Yeah.
planet Earth when they
Right.
get into relationships. Why do you
Right.
think that is? Why do you think there are girls out there who just completely abandon their other friendships when they get into relationships?
That's a really tough question. I'd like to think that I can't fully answer that question because I am not that girl, but maybe I have been to some people at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I have to imagine that so okay, so in everybody goes through like an infatuation period, right?
Right.
Where you're super obsessed with this person.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a lot of people, like it's a period of time and then you get over it and then you still love that person, but it's not like obsession like when you first meet and everything is new and fresh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to imagine that for some people it's a much longer infatuation period than for others.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all I
Okay.
can really come up with.
Okay. Okay. See, I have this theory that I'm like, not a theory. It's just what I'm thinking right now. But
Yeah.
basically, I feel like this happens when we go into something not fully loving ourselves and where we're at with ourselves and things around us. And then we cling on to something that makes us feel like
Whole.
love. Yeah, and there we go, whole. Um, and because that's like what makes us feel our best, our greatest, we don't ever like grow. Once I feel great, I won't do anything just to sabotage that, right? Like when you're feeling amazing and good, like you want to stay feeling amazing and good. So when people find, I feel like that person that does that for them, and when they couldn't necessarily do that for themselves quite yet, I think it has a lot to do with it. And I don't think it has to do anything with like, oh, I no longer like my girlfriends. I think they're like,
No, I think that has nothing to do with it as well because I don't think it's personal or like intentional at all.
Yeah, and that's another thing about being in love. It's so important, really, really. You can grow and you deserve love at all points in your life, but you have to understand that you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else. But that doesn't mean like you can't be, in my opinion, that doesn't mean you can't be working on it, right? Like just be aware. Like let's say there was a point in my life where I did not love myself at all, but I knew I didn't and I knew I was working on it. And because I knew I had to work on it, my relationship was fine.
Yeah. Also, self-love is a lifelong journey, in my opinion. So,
Facts.
if y- like, it's not like you like work and work and work towards it, and then boom, I accomplished self-love. Like, you're forever, in my opinion, like in the process of perfecting your love for yourself, practicing your love for yourself. It's not like something that you have, it's something that you practice.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not a noun, it's a verb.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that if you had to wait until like you feel fully valued for yourself and fully loved by yourself, if you had to wait for that to be in like a good relationship, like nobody would ever be able to make it.
Nunca, you would never be in a relationship.
Yeah,
Bitch, you would be single your entire life. Like that,
exactly.
period. Yeah, that is so true. That is very, very true. Yeah. I just, I, I used to hear it more than I do now about like how girls just completely sail
Fall off
ship.
the face of the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, where are they when they get boyfriends? Not so much anymore, but I don't know if it's because I have like two friends.
Same, same, same.
Um, yeah, so but I think it's really important, ladies, if you're listening out, and men too, both. This goes both ways because I've had guy friends too who just boop. I'm like, where are you guys? And they're like,
Yeah.
nowhere to be found. And I'm like, what, boy?
Hello?
Yeah. I'm like, ring, ring, ring.
Yeah.
This goes for both, for all people. Um, don't lose those relationships. Try not to. It's hard. I know. I'm really bad at it too. When I'm in love, I think I've told you this too. When I'm in love, like you she's gone for a minute, but I won't leave. I'm taking a little vacation. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting when people do that. It's very interesting. I okay. I have another question for you.
Okay.
Again, question for you guys listening as well, if you want to answer this. Um, do you think you like okay, if you had to pick between being in love with somebody for the rest of your life and being single for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
Wait, so so you said being in
So
love with the
being
same.
in love and in a relationship with one person for the rest of your life or being single for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
Well, I think for me, there's an easier choice there because I am in like currently in a relationship. I think more people who are currently in a relationship would choose to be with the same person forever,
Yeah,
assuming that you're like happy in that relationship. Um, and so yeah, I guess for me, like I feel like
forever.
that's probably the easiest choice for me.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
gonna
you're
get
right
some
though.
angry text messages if I said otherwise. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, literally, as
Uh,
soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, bitch, you really want your best
no,
friend to get in
I'm
trouble
just
tonight,
playing.
don't you? I'm like,
No,
she's gonna sleep on the couch. No, I'm
no,
just kidding.
I'm dead.
No, yeah, and I think you're right because I'm single right now, so I want to say, girl, sign me up for the
Gonna be single
single.
forever.
Yeah, but that's because I don't feel strongly like that about anybody right now. So it definitely does change the narrative of the situation. Um, let's see. Do you have any questions for me? I've been asking you a bunch of
Do I
questions
have any questions for you?
about being in love. I think a good one to talk about too after is like, how do you get out of being in love with somebody?
Oof. Hmm. I
Okay.
don't. I'm like, great question.
Well, here I mean, here I'll take the lead on this one. How do you
Okay.
get out of being in love with somebody? Um, you never stop loving them. You never stop loving them, and I don't know, maybe this is different for other people, but in my opinion, you never stop loving the people that you've been in love with in your life. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's such a great thing to be able to say and be proud of because for so long, like I know for myself, I was in denial and I was like, I don't care about those people. Like, I don't care. I don't care. And I do care. I did care. Obviously, if I had such a negative reaction towards the question, it's because I definitely did care. Um, I think it's a journey and it's a process. It's a slow process. It's not easy. That's your person, and then the next day they're not. So I think it's a journey, and I think you've watched the journey. Like I think you definitely have watched me slowly fall out of love, and then go back. And then
I'm dead.
oh, let's also say that like I've been in love with people, and I've gone back to the people. Okay. And then it took me the second time to realize I'm no longer in love. It's just love.
Right. Okay. So I think also, I mean, don't have too much to say on, like moving on and stuff like that. But I do think that being busy is like very important. So I think that like finding ways to preoccupy your time because I feel like when you're busy and you're hanging out with other people, your friends that you didn't neglect during your relationship.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, when you come back to, to those activities, hang out with the same people that you were your friends and doing the things that you love to do, I think that in one day you'll look back and be like, wait, like when did this happen? I'm okay,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, 100%. And oh man, we're 20, so I'm 24, you're 23.
Mhm.
There are people very close to us who are now getting married, getting
Oh my
engaged,
God, don't get me
getting
started.
married. Like, this is a whole other chapter. This,
Which great for them. Like
yeah, and I
there's
love. Hmm.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say like great for them. Like it's just crazy to me like all the different life stages that all of us are in at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, because if we were doing this podcast about being in love while we were in high school, right, it would just be like, yeah, like, it wouldn't be, not that it wouldn't be serious back then, but I think it's even
Yeah,
more serious now because there's people around us getting married, settling down, and starting their families.
on their
Uh,
second kids, some of
yeah,
them.
yeah, which I mean, I would have loved to get one of them on this podcast because I know
Yeah,
they have, the experience is just um
so much that we could learn.
yeah, exactly. And like how do you know when it's the one? Like how do you or cuz I don't know, a lot of people disagree with the one concept because they're like there's no such thing as the one. Just, you pick. I've heard some people say you have to pick what the best one for you at the moment is. Other people are like they're soulmates and you have to pick your soulmate. One of the soulmates out of many that you may have. Is there such thing as the one? Ooh, question for you, best friend. Is there
Uh,
such
so
thing as the one?
so I
Like,
don't think so.
okay.
Um, I do think that there all are like soulmate connections that you may have, but I don't think that your romantic relationship is always gonna like the best romantic relationship for you is always gonna be a soulmate connection or like a twin flame or like whatever other type of karmic connections you want to bring into it. I don't always think that your romantic relationship and the one that you choose and keep for your life is not it's not always gonna be the same. So I don't think that there's such a thing as the one. I do think that like relationships are a lot of work and it's going to come down to like do you put in the work and does the other person put in the work and do you decide like every single day again to still be there for one another like I guess I'm kind of like I fall more some people fall into like love is a choice not love is not a choice. I think that for me uh obviously there are some like non-negotiable things in here like I'm not talking about like people who are like abusive and whatever, those are extreme circumstances that do
Yeah.
not fall under my very unqualified judgment. But from my judgment, I do think it's a choice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I also agree with you actually. I was gonna say no, I was gonna say no, and then I said no, I also, but anyway, I agree with you. I don't think there's such thing as the one. I have a soulmate theory, and my soulmate theory is basically the idea that in this lifetime you have many soulmates, and depending on what path you're on at the time in your life, you're gonna interact and you're gonna run into different ones. And I think that I'm a like I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, and I definitely believe in a God. And I think God puts all these different soulmates along your journey, and He lets you decide who you want to end up with. Not all of them have to be romantically. Some of them are literally friends. You're my soulmate and you're my best friend. Um,
That's right.
yes. So a soulmate doesn't mean romantic either. So yeah, I don't think there's such thing as a one either. I think you get to decide out of the many soulmates that God puts into your life,
Yeah.
which one you want to be with. And I'm like me, I'm like hitting up all my different soulmates. I'm like, let's do it. I'm like,
Hey,
which one?
boo.
Yeah.
You spin the wheel.
God said, girl, those are not your soulmates.
Oh my gosh, you're like those tweets that says like 7 billion people on this planet and you think your soulmate lives in fucking, I don't know, West Covina
Yeah. I'm dead. Oh
or
my
like Chino
gosh.
Hills or something.
Oh, she said drag me.
Oh my
Dead.
God, wait, I didn't even realize that. I'm so sorry, best friend. I was just quoting a tweet.
No, it's okay.
I'm like, feel free to mute the shit out of me.
No, no, no. We're gonna leave that in there.
Fucking dead. Wow, fire me.
No, no, absolutely not. I'm like, oh, that was funny. That was great. But yeah.
I have a question for you now.
Okay.
Do you believe in right person, wrong time?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
100%. I'm like, I cry. I'm like,
Mhm.
100%. Yeah, I used to say no because I'm the type of person where if I want something, I'm gonna make it work and I'm gonna figure it out. But like I said before, whenever I've tried to control time, it always bites me in the butt, if not today, later on. So when something's not meant to be, don't fight it. Don't do it. Just let it go. If it's gonna be for you, it's gonna come back. But you gotta let it go because there's a reason why it's trying to drift away. You just gotta trust the process.
I feel you on everything you just said.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like I used to feel the same about like right person will show up at the right time. If it's not the right time, it's not the right person. But and I also feel you when you say like I'll make everything work. That's me as well. Like I'll deny like have you ever seen those memes where it's like God please send me a sign and then it's like the sign and you're like I can't read. Like
Oh yeah, that was me literally all last year.
I'm fucking
That was
dead.
literally me all last year. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? Maybe we could talk about a breakup
Oh,
later
there could be
on.
an episode, yeah.
Later on, because that breakups are a different story. But today we are just talking about being in love and what that means for us, and a little bit about us being in love and what that's looked like and what we think about it. Being in love is a beautiful thing. And again, for all my married girls out there, shout out to you guys. We wish you, both of us wish y'all nothing but the greatest because I love love. I love marriage. I love the idea of I love marriage. Marriage is just so cute to me. And I'm sure it comes with a lot of struggles. They're like babies, right? Like they look so precious and then they start crying and you're like, holy crap, take it back. Um, but marriage is something that I look up to and I can't wait for that day. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if any married girls have any input on our being in love podcast, you're probably cringing at us.
I'm fucking dead.
Alrighty, best friend. Well, that is our podcast of being in love. Maybe we'll do another one during Valentine's Day and we'll like do something like this for Valentine's Day. An
Oh,
updated
I think that would be a good one.
yeah, an
An
updated
updated
version
one.
because this one is just ah.
But you know what? It's good. It's authentic. It's what we do.
But thank you guys so much for listening. If you're not following Authentic Amigas on Instagram and Twitter, go ahead and do that now. Leave us a review as well on Apple Podcasts, right, best friend?
Yes, Apple Podcasts. We love to read your reviews and your feedback.
Do we have one question? Last question. Question of the day. A. Question of the day.
Hmm.
What's one of the questions that we said? We'll just like give them a question. We'll just give you guys a question to answer.
Okay.
What's one of our questions that we did?
Question.
Oh, do you believe there's such thing as the one?
Okay, that's a good one.
Let
Yeah.
us know what you think. Is there such thing as the one?
Let us know your thoughts. Tag us on Instagram stories if you answer the question. Also, if you comment, we would love to see that as well. Let us know your thoughts on the question of the day. Is there
Yay,
such
yay,
thing
yay.
as the one?
Well, this is all we have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Hopefully, the audio isn't terrible. If it is, we are so sorry.
And work with us, please. We're trying.
We really are. But we appreciate you all so much. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. We'll
Thank
see
you for
you on the
being
next
here.
one. Follow Florencia Galvan at Twitter.
Also, follow Valerie, Pamela, and Butterfly Fingers. Duh, y'all already know the drill.
Ah, I love you, best friend. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Alrighty, we're signing out.
Yep.
Hey,
Peace.
bye bye.
That's a beautiful ending.
Aw.